If you would like more information on this program, or if you'd like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org and visit us online at oneonone.org.
Welcome to One on One. We're talking about a very interesting approach to education with Sue Morris, who is the Principal and Director of Education.
Educators in schools really were not able to close the gap for them between where their good intelligence says they could be and their skills are, particularly in reading and writing, but some other areas as well.
What do you do for them?
What we do is we provide a very intense level of remediation so that we can close that gap, and we also provide cross-curricular skills so the kids can become
What does that mean? It gets a little jargony. Cross-curricular skills. Give me an example.
Give you an example. Most students will learn how to highlight material if they're going to organize text material. And perhaps when you were in elementary school, someone sent you home and said, Steve, study for your social studies test. You kind of figured that out on your own, or maybe asked other kids. Our students are directly taught what study skills and organizational skills will work best for them, so that then they can really bypass impediments to their learning and learn well in all situations, whether it be on the job, post-high school into college. So particular highlighting system that is taught in every single subject area for the students.
So how'd you get into this? Why does it matter so much to you?
Why does it matter? First 17 years of my career in education I spent with kids that had emotional and behavioral problems. And clearly a good portion of those students were victims of what I would call dysteachia. Dysteachia. They really did not have the kind of teaching methodology either intensely enough or consistently enough so that they could really learn how to do it for themselves and learn for themselves.
So what happens to those kids?
Those kids are sentenced to lower level jobs. They're sentenced to perhaps not being able to further their education. Anything that involves literacy in our country would be a real struggle for kids that don't read and communicate through writing very well. So for me, it was extremely valuable to get closer to what I would call prevention for these kids, where we can get in there and teach the kids the skills they need so they can become the people they are meant to be and have a much better shot at a life.
So let me ask you this. There's a particular teaching methodology, and I want to get the name right. It is the Orton-Gillingham teaching methodology. What is it, and why is it so significant to this discussion?
It's significant in that it is the foundation of our teaching. It was developed by educators as well as some neuroscientists close to 100 years ago. And it really involves the direct teaching of language in its most basic parts, so that there are principles to it. It is extremely effective instruction for these students. You have to have a commitment as a staff. There's a lot of training involved as a staff.
Sounds complicated. Break it down. Give me a,
it is
again,
complicated.
With this program, I know it's complicated, but the challenge when you do this kind of program and you want to introduce our audience to important issues and challenges that people face and potential solutions is we have to provide some concrete examples.
Right.
Give us, more importantly, our audience, a concrete example of how this teaching methodology breaks down.
Okay. Many people learn how to read very rapidly. It's the way our brains are designed.
I'm watching our 5-year-old and 7-year-old deal with it right now.
Right. So you've got the word cat.
Actually, last night I watched our little guy Chris going at and watching him try to sound out words.
Yes.
Why is it different?
And probably if you asked your son, could he rhyme words with cat? He probably could say bat and sat and some other things. What happens for students that have dyslexia or language-based learning disabilities is that they do not make that sound symbol relationship naturally.
What do they see
on that page? It must be taught.
My kids see
It's not so much
CAT.
about what they see, but when they see the CAT, they need to understand, just as you said, that C makes a sound. The A makes a sound, the T makes a sound, and depending on the relationship within the word, what are those sounds put together?
And they may not know that?
They absolutely do not know that. They have to be directly taught the sounds for each letter, and they have to be taught it in a way in which their brain can assimilate it and master it. And what ends up happening to many of our students, they may not come to us until age 13 or 14. So they've had other methods, other programs in schools, and despite the best efforts, still haven't been able to learn how to read or have barely learned how to read. despite their average to extremely good intelligence. So it's a couple of key factors. One is how do we teach it?
Right.
How do you train your staff to teach it? The other is the
what about
ratio.
The ratio?
You're
The
very quick study. Our ratio
because it can't be what it is for other children. There's no way.
Not. No, absolutely not. And what ends up happening in maybe traditional settings is the child might be pulled out and see a reading specialist. They go back to the classroom and the teachers don't know how to cue them or how to work with them. In our school, our reading instruction is done at a 3-to-1 ratio, writing at a 4-to-1 ratio, grouped by like age and like need. So wherever the breakdown is in the reading process, that child will have 2 other students like him or her working with the teacher in that focused instruction.
3 students for a teacher, 4 students for a teacher. What is it in a more traditional, if you will, school situation?
You're looking at class sizes from, unfortunately, although we know class size is a large factor, could be anywhere from 22 to 30 students per class.
That child that you, excuse me for interrupting, Sue, the child you're talking about right now, they don't have much of a chance in that other setting.
They have very little chance in that other setting. Even if they have pull-out programs with a reading specialist, there isn't enough consistency or intensity with the consistent instruction for that child to learn. It's like it's a little bit hit and miss, and the kids get pieces of things, but never really master what they need to be independent readers.
Before I let you out, are you expanding the Bridge Academy?
We'd like to expand the Bridge Academy.
Money's always an issue?
Money is always an issue.
Expand it in what way, though? Say money were not an object, which is humorous because it always is.
Yes.
What would you do?
There's a couple facets for growth, and we're looking at growth in terms of the possibility of a larger facility so we could serve more students directly. That also has to be very carefully planned because you can't just bring any teacher in to teach the students.
Right.
We're also looking at growth and being able to take the things that we've developed, the methodology that we've developed, the different pieces we've developed, and extend it to other educators and conferences. And that way these other educators can take things that have been classroom proven for this population and utilize it the next day in their own classrooms.
30 seconds left. What do we owe these young boys and girls, these young men and women? What do we owe them?
I think you owe them looking at them as students first, children first, people first. They have tremendous talents, and to look at them, given that their literacy has been restricted for so long, is doing them a disservice. These kids are talented and they can do wonderful things in the world.
And you're doing wonderful things. And Sue, I want to thank you for sharing your story. We have work to do and we'll be here to help in any way we can. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Great
Steve.
job.
If you would like more information on this program, or if you'd like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org and visit us online at oneonone.org.